Hello. Okay, so there have been multiple themes sort of pulsing through the last few days, and I've been writing things down. It's actually 11:11 as I started recording this. So I was just trying to come into a bit more of a focused space before I pushed record, and I wanted to just see a first theme maybe to start, because I honestly was I don't know where to start. I was just feeling so much. So when I tuned in, I heard origami, which is interesting because it's nothing of what I had written down. So origami, I looked up the spiritual perspective or meaning, and it says, in a spiritual context, origami is often seen as a practice of transformation and mindfulness, where the act of folding paper into intricate shapes like cranes represents the potential for change and personal growth, with deep symbolism tied to the natural world and often rooted in Japanese culture, particularly with the crane symbolizing longevity, hope, and good fortune. The process itself requires focus and patience, reflecting a meditative, I don't know, I can't say that word right now, quality. And key points are transformation, mindfulness. Each shape can carry a specific meaning or symbol, connection to nature, obviously Japanese culture. Ikigai, the Japanese word for purpose, has been coming through a lot this week as well. I just realized a lot of Japanese cultural practices. So yeah, I just heard the blue zone. So maybe someone here has been looking into blue zones, or maybe you did that a while ago and you've been implementing different practices into your life. It could be, different for everyone. Just the idea of, especially right now, there's, like I was saying, I've been feeling this surge in energy, and it almost sometimes feels overwhelming to the point where when I try to then focus onto something, it's I have so much coming in that I'm whoa, hold on. So perhaps coming back to a ikigai, or the Japanese word for purpose, or some sort of meditative practice and focus can be helpful right now, working with your hands, or just the idea of sort of working with the energetics and allowing yourself to ground in and giving yourself time to ground in, especially if you're going through a lot of what we call downloading or receiving. So I keep seeing multiple people that I receive from online, speaking about the Schumann resonance. This week there's it's funny because I was actually talking about the Schumann resonance and I kept feeling things into it, so then I sort of opened up the channel for that to come in, and then I kept seeing Schumann resonance. So I decided to go back to the basic and just look up the simplistic Schumann resonance are a series of electromagnetic waves that occur in the Earth's atmosphere. They are caused by lightning strikes that create electromagnetic waves that bounce between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. So interesting. I did not know about the lightning strikes, and the other day I was doing a session for my friend, and I kept seeing something about lightning strikes, and I wasn't sure what it was. And it's interesting because the Schumann resonance when it says, how's the Schumann resonance created? Lightning strikes create electromagnetic waves. And electromagnetic waves, the electric aspect has been coming through, like the electric polarity, the masculine polarity, and then, of course, electromagnetic waves are feminine and masculine together, electric, magnetic. So, the last, month or so, I've been talking so much about the electric and how that has been ramping up and almost overdrive, and practices to help ground that in and balance it out. So yeah, there's just a lot of connecting dots sort of that are coming through right now. Of course, there's so much more information if you want to go deeper with that. But the idea here that the spike in the Schumann resonance and the CMEs, coronal mass ejections, and the solar activity has been just increasingly ramping. And so I had this dream the other night about this huge, beautiful, glowing moon. And then I woke up and I was basically shown how the moon phases, of course. It's we only see the moon at certain points throughout, depending on the cycle of the moon. So there's something about the illumination of our psyche, of the way we, our internal world, our subconscious, the way we perceive, being illuminated at different points. And that's being highlighted right now. So, 717 on my timer. I just took a pause, and it's funny, when I first started, I was whoa, I'm overflowing with information. And now I almost went into a stasis moment. I felt complete, just almost a blank, but not in a, sometimes blank has I'm seeing a blank rune. A blank rune, which can represent mystery, fate, secrets, chance. It can also represent or symbolize unattainability and the idea that some knowledge is beyond reach. Interesting. Very paradoxical. I don't know if you just heard a railroad train, the horn in the background. Yeah, the idea of hidden and internal emotionality, esoterica, knowledge, wisdom has been really coming to the surface for some people that I know personally. And I feel it's a collective thing as well. There's almost the this idea of the spike in the Schumann resonance and, the electromagnetic activity, what's going on the earth. It's all of these foundations that are being jumbled and mixed, and I keep hearing torn up, but that's not the word I wanted to say, is shaking things up so much. And it's the other day when I was in session with my friend, it was almost the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale, where there's a part, of humanity consciousness that has been preserved and sleeping, and it's being shaken awake. And now, of course, we can take this at different points. This is just the current, what I'm getting right now, that is really in focus. So you can feel perhaps you just collapse a timeline is some of the lingo that I can best describe what I'm feeling. I was talking a bit about soul. fragments and reintegrating a fragment. So there's the shamanic name that I talk about all the time, but for some reason it just left my head. So I'm just going to let that fly for now. I'm sure it will come in if I need it. But yeah, this idea of soul retrieval, there we go, coming forth. And as soon as I said retrieval, there was like a leaf that dropped. I could like saw it drop by the window. And it's really funny because there are these leaves where I'm staying. All of a sudden, they're just like pouring down the roof, like right in front of the door where I'm staying. And I was listening to the last 2 days, like quite a few like subliminals for just like opening up flows of abundance and multiple streams of income, etc., etc. And one of the videos that kept like coming up on my feed was like coins just flowing, like almost like a waterfall. And then there's like these golden leaves literally just like falling where I am. Like I went outside and they were just like flowing all over me. And I know like it's leaves, not coins, but there's something about like this inner reflection that's like showing up externally, synchronistically, perhaps maybe not in ways that you first expect, but it's like this, this reflection that, especially for those who have been sort of internally diving for quite some time, it's like you're starting to see these external reflections that you've been feeling internally, I feel like, for a while. And it's like really required this like perseverance, trust, faith, really like living in the energetics of it before it fully shows up externally. And it's like each moment more and more is starting to come in. And, someone might be like, oh, great, leaves, but like for me, it was like, I don't know. I just felt like this connection to my environment, to nature, that someone from the outside might, again, look and just be like, that is so stupid. And I get that. But like for me, it didn't feel stupid at all. It was like, it was just, like one of those moments of connection, I guess you can say. And this is all within like the last day or two. And then I was walking past this tree that I've walked by so many times. And I look over and there's just all of this sap like pouring out of this tree. I did take a picture or a photo. I was thinking of maybe sharing it. And again, someone may, I don't know why I'm going into this, but someone may look at this tree and be like, cool, there's sap, But like for me, it was like, I've been working with ORMUS GOLD again, like physically. I feel like I work with it energetically all the time, but I was able to order some not long ago. And if you listen to my channel, you might know I do have an affiliate link with Blue Emerald Alchemy, and I really do. I love their ORMUS. I trust it very much so, or their monatomic. It's hard to label this because his process of the way he makes it is so, unique to his alchemical connection. So, yeah. Anyway, whenever I work with certain things, sometimes I'll get, these, like I was saying, these like external reflections showing up. And so there was this movie when I was staying in Belgium called The Fountain, and the owner of the retreat center had us, invited us to watch, like, it's one of his favorite movies. And I actually never even heard of it before. It's with Hugh Jackman and Rachel Weisz, I think. Anyway, it's like a sci-fi romance, spiritual concepts all weaved together. And if you've seen it, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, there's a focus on this sap in the tree, which to me mirrored the like spiritual concept of Amrita, which has been coming through a lot lately. And when I talk about the monatomic or ORMUS GOLD, I always get the the Mahatma energy. There's like this, if you've heard of it, this like white golden energy of like a liquid golden light that comes through. If you've tapped into this, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, maybe you will. But they say it was like taken away during the Atlantean times, like it was like abused, and now it's been coming back online. That's like the mythos that I've tapped into behind it. And anyway, so there's like this marrying together of these different concepts of Amrita. They call it, I believe, like the sweet nectar, divine nectar. I've heard it references different different phrases. I wanted to just, I found this, I don't know why I'm stuttering. I found this, I just did a Google search, and AYP International, a yogic blog, I guess. They labeled it Amrita, the divine nectar. It means nectar and also immortal in Sanskrit. And it's a substance which is produced by the human body once the flow of Kundalini through the central channel becomes strong. And then it goes on to talk about a bunch of different information about it. It can also like manifest physically through the back of the throat as like a sweet and bitter substance, and then it can also bubble up to the higher chakras. It says especially the crown, the third eye, and the top back of the head, which is the Bindu. I believe I did a transmission on the Bindu chakra like maybe 6 months ago. It's somewhere in my channel, if that's something you're interested in. And it says when the Amrita comes out of the higher chakras, it will then trickle down the head and face and feels like drops of oil or honey as it comes down. And I have been, like energetically connecting with the idea of the etheric template of this, what I now have weaved together, the Amrita, the Mahatma white golden frequency, this nectar, the etheric nectar through different like essences and elixirs, etc. So anyway, in the movie they reflect this tree and the sap and the symbolism behind that. And when I saw this tree, I honestly don't know that I've ever in person saw a tree releasing this much sap personally. Like, I'm sure people may experience it all the time, but yeah, for me it was just one of those moments because I just started working with the ORMUS again, and I just made a tincture with it that I've been taking every day. And yeah, I did post about, I shared that tincture. If anyone is interested, let me know, because I still have more of the tincture, and this time I made it with Blue Lotus, and I charged it with clear quartz, and it's preserved in brandy. There's also something else that I also added liquid sea moss. Yeah, aquamarine has also been coming through, and emerald, like emerald, liquid emerald, and aquamarine. So those crystalline connections can be relevant for someone, or like the metaphysical properties can be helpful, or working with the frequency color behind, or the energetic template of these can be assistive right now. Emerald is, like a deep green generally, and aquamarine is more like a blue-green. Excuse me. So, of course, that takes me into like the heart and the thymus and the high heart and the connection to the throat, so that whole area. And I have been, I don't know if you heard a bubble in my throat, I have been really tuning into the movement of Kundalini, and how for whatever collective I'm tuning into, it feels like there's been this like heart chest area, especially in the back, that has been sort of accumulated a lot of, if you want to call it just debris maybe, and that there's been this like heart opening and back of heart opening to release up to the crown. So, you know, even if you've already had multiple awakenings through the Kundalini channel and it's been rising, there's still like going to be that next octave of consciousness pouring in through these activations that have been happening. That's going to bring in a deeper connection. So that's been coming through quite often lately. I just saw 2030 on the timer. So there could be like a significant cycle, because everyone, you know, a lot of people, including myself, have been talking about like this new cycle that has been anchoring in. And it feels like from now until 2030 is like this. I'm seeing like someone's solar return. So maybe it was, I don't know, someone's birthday recently. If so, happy birthday. But there's something about I'm hearing a solar cycle. And I know that's like 1 year in Earth. But there's something about like, I'd have to look into this, but yeah, the next 5 to 7 years being this like cellular detox cycle of ushering in whatever these next octaves are. So it's like if you've been experiencing some physical body discomfort, honestly, I have been the last few days, like intensely. I've been talking about a rash, and I like rarely get these things, but I actually had a chest cold that I was speaking on like 2 months ago or something, and now this. So I feel like I'm definitely purging out some cellular stuff. And it's funny because headaches have been coming through. Purging through the skin, you know, just any sort of body aches, fatigue, and then like bouts of energy, like etc. So there's something about I think it was Dolores Cannon, if you're familiar with her. Her reels someone's been really popping out her reels lately, and she one of the reels that popped up on my feed was like, humans should never get sick. And it was like, I get where she was coming from. Like the original human template, perhaps in the angelic human design, was like meant to be self-regenerating and self-cleansing. But sometimes like in these 30-second reels, you know, when people put them out, it can be a little bit misleading in my opinion. So I just wanted to tap into that because, you know, especially there's different points in the planet. And, you know, I've heard different people say like, oh, if someone's talking about ascension symptoms, it's just a trap. So I invite everyone to like, you know, I think we're all here figuring it out together. If anyone like has something to say about this, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, I am someone who, and I know others as well, like will, you know, sort of purge certain things. And when you purge it out of your body for yourself or the collective, it's like a physical process of deconditioning. And especially when you're tuning into like rewiring the subconscious and working with different substances, etc. I do find that I have purges. Now, I just wanted to share that in case anyone else is going through it and you're like, oh my God, of course, like I'm not a medical physician. So if you feel the need to take care of that and get checked out, like please do. It's just, you know, this is what I'm bringing through. And yeah, it's like an invitation, in my opinion, to really just feel through it, breathe through it. I've been really connecting back into breath and working with crystalline liquid light, and the color frequency really has been helping. And so if anyone's interested in that deeper, you can let me know. I just saw 24 on the timer. The calendars have been coming up, the Gregorian calendar, and then working with like the lunar or the Mayan calendar, and how the connection to the earth cycles and natural cycles and rhythms, and of course like the menstruation and the lunar cycle, whether you're a man or woman, just the idea of tapping into the earth's rhythm. So maybe someone here is being called to look into that more, or maybe you already have been. I remember when I was in Arkansas a couple years ago. I was trying to fall asleep and I was flashed this, it looked like a sundial. You know what? I'm going to have to look up the correct name because I always forget. I've looked this up a million times and it never sticks in my brain. Okay, that is correct. A sundial. So it was like a Mayan sundial. It was like a very... there may be other names for it, but yeah. And I didn't know, like I hadn't worked with that before, and it like flashed like clear as day. Like it was a vision. I just saw it so clearly. And then the next day where I was in a retreat, and they were showing this presentation, and they put an image. I'm having such a hard time getting my words out. They put an image up on the screen. What's that called? A projector? One of those things. And it was literally like that. That's what I was shown the night before. So I like to talk about time often and time cycles and how time is depending on the consciousness of the individual, and time is perceived differently. And so, yeah, there's something about maybe you feel like you're losing time, or maybe like you're missing chunks of time. That won't be for everyone, but maybe a few of you have experienced that. I also was shown in my dream the other night, I was taking a different form of transportation, let's say. I was kind of taking these like taxis, but instead of being like a car taxi, they were like parasailing taxis. But I don't remember there being water. Like somehow I was just like on these cables in the air. And I was like tuned into something like a frequency when I was in the air, and I heard like look this way, and there was like a triangle based ship. But then I was like I saw it for a split second, and then it disappeared. And in the dream I was like, okay, I don't want to like chase this ship, you know, like it's going to show it to me when it wants to. Like I saw it. Did I see it? Like it was one of those moments. So perhaps someone here is going through something like this. And last night I was just watching something, and I heard like a channel come in. And now when we talk about different star systems, different beings, if you will, there's so much controversy around this, and so I've been a little bit hesitant to talk about it, because I feel like our relationship to this cosmic consciousness is, you know, kind of going through this, like, when we have a resurgence, in my opinion, like when we have these reawakenings to things, you know, cosmic consciousness is ancient, like it's been around since the dawn of time, but when there's like a awakening of the masses, I feel like it goes through a lot of like distortion, and, you know, just, it's like whisper down the lane, you know, like if you ever played that game when you were a kid and you start off with one word and then you whisper it around the circle, and by the time it gets back to the source, whoever spoke it, it's like generally almost always never what it was sent out as. So I feel like there's a lot of that going on. I mean, I do feel like it's just part of the ascension process, I suppose. It's just part of, you know, people figuring it out on their own and developing their relationship with it. Anyway, so I just wanted to say that, because when I received what I received last night, it was a very short, quick, like, it was like a Palladian type of frequency coming in, talking about, I know there's a group that identifies as like Yeshua 9 or Sananda, and the way it came through was like an archetypal consciousness, not like a person, but like a template, and how through these like Schumann resonance spikes and all of the different movement on the planet, etc., there's like these openings of next octave consciousness coming through, and those ready to receive it may be having some of these experiences that I was talking about. So yeah, peeling skin, itchy skin was another one that's been coming through the last few weeks. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the idea in the beginning, I was speaking of a timeline closing, or feeling like maybe if you're practicing quantum leaping, quantum jumping, quantum shifting, there may be this, like, I'm seeing someone like straddled over like two vibrating strings, and so you may be kind of feeling like you successfully jumped, if you will, but there's still, of course, that, like, I've talked about this before, but like that feeling of you can get like dizzy, nausea, like when you go through these jumps, because, you know, if you ever see like movies when they depict time travel and then the person has like a nosebleed, or they start to feel like sick, or they want to throw up or something like this. So yeah, this could be happening. But the word I've been feeling lately is expansion. Like there's definitely been this expansion, and, you know, whenever you're finding this, like you probably have found that you have just been doing this, or you might start like wanting to declutter emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, creating the space for this expansion. Yeah, that word expansion in many areas of life have been coming through. And imposter syndrome and imposter spirits. So I've noticed the theme, and I'm sure this comes through for quite a few people, like when you are about to or had just successfully, you know, passed through a rite of passage spiritually, let's say, there can be this creeping in of, you know, alchemically shifted like patterns, behaviors, karmic things that may come up, which can also, in my experience, attract imposter spirits, if you will. And I'm calling it that because it's like, you know, maybe like trickster energy, just a little bit of interference trying to kind of throw you off track. And this is not like to scare anyone. It's just I've noticed that this happens. And I just wanted to share just in case anyone feels like this might be happening. And so, yeah, if anything, that's why in the beginning talking about like a call to really focus and stay grounded, because it can feel easily overwhelming to just sort of get lost in the energy and lost in the sauce, lost in the sea. And I feel like the water element, aquamarine, is really coming through to assist with this like tranquility and peace amidst this all of this that's going on. And so Sekhmet has been coming through as well, so you may feel called to work with like Sekhmet, Hathor, or the archetypal aspects of Sekhmet and Hathor, Bastet, and like the original emanation. And when I say original, it's like Shekinah has also been coming through, or Shekinah, like the first emanation of light, I believe it's translated in like Hebrew traditions, or like mysticism, Hebrew mysticism. So there's something, yeah, I'm hearing like the first ray, which I believe the first ray, I just saw 3333 on the timer. I'm hearing Serapis Bay in my head as well. And of course, as I bring through these things archetypally, to understand how to work with some of these energies, or maybe you already are. So the first ray, El Moria, working with like soul purpose, etc. And then Serapis Bay is the fourth ray, hierarch of the Ascension Temple at Luxor, Council of Adepts, 13th member, the Ascension Temple, known as Serapis of the Sun. And when I was talking about those solar cycles, yeah, so there's something about that coming through as well. Working with the archetype of Serapis Bay and Serapis of the Sun, Ra consciousness, RA, Ra. All of this is coming in. Yeah, and I was talking about the white golden light, and then emerald, and then this Google search I just did talks about the white fire, ray of purity, and like, you know, purification. So working with, I believe I did a transmission called White Sapphire, something like this. There could be something there. Whew, I really need some water. And this could come at a time of after feeling like you've been working through like a crossroads energy, or maybe you're still kind of working through like Two of Swords crossroads. The Hecate consciousness, I believe she's the goddess of crossroads. Yeah, I'm just looking at things I had written down. So this definitely feels like a time of glow up, or maybe soon you'll be entering into a time of glow up. And by glow up, I mean like, you know, the idea of like glowing up within and then letting it radiate externally. So you could be feeling caught. I'm like really purging through my throat right now. So excuse me. Woo. Working through, I like to make a list of things that like I feel called to want to experience. So like you could be also someone who likes to do that, or in any other way that you can like accumulate this idea of a glow up. So it's like, again, for those of you who have been going through this internal process, it's like starting to show up externally more. For example, one of the things for me that I've been writing down is to like continue to remineralize my teeth. And so I started to make my own toothpaste. And so that's like one example. Working with my skin has been really big for me. Just a few examples. Okay, what else? Oh, yeah, okay. I have been seeing dead birds like so much lately. And so, I don't know, maybe someone else's ears has also, I'm like really like, yeah, finding birds that are no longer alive. So there could be a, you know, quite literally like this idea of birds being messengers. And anytime I see, I think I talked about this in my last overflow on Patreon. You know, of course, I started when I would see dead animals. Started this quite a few years ago, where I would just feel I would just stand over them and just feel called to, really just tune in and see what I was asked to do. And so maybe you're someone who also does this, or maybe you're feeling called to. But yeah, the dead birds, working with like, it's kind of like showing me that symbolizing something that just a death of your own. If it's someone literal in your family, then, or friends or something, then I'm sending you love to you and them for sure. But it also feels like an aspect of you that is being transformed, this transformation process. So, and Thoth, there's a lot of like beings coming through. Oh, and also the sap, when I looked it up, spiritually, it can represent like a deity being present. So maybe someone here has been like tuning into deity consciousness, or, but yeah, with the birds, I was getting like blue avian and Thoth lineages coming through. Bridging science and spirit. There's something about like working with the connection of, I just heard the limbic system. So maybe someone here is tuning into the limbic system, but it's like kind of, whether you've been more in the like scientific way of approaching things or more in the spirit way of approaching things, either way, there's going to be like a bridging. So maybe some of you are more one than the other. There's going to be like a connection coming through is what I'm seeing. And maybe you've already tapped into that. And if so, there's going to be like a deepening of that. I have been really deep diving a bit into some work of Maia Nartoomid, and I probably most likely in the extended on Overflow might be reading some of her material on Patreon, because at some point I want to do a follow-up video to the monatomics and Andara, and after I did that, I was saying that a lot of information was coming through this woman, Maia Nartoomid. I believe I'm saying her name correctly. If not, my apologies. Who has been like bringing through information. Mostly she tunes into Thoth, but she has other works as well, and I think she's been doing this for a very, very long time, since like I think it started when she was 17, and I believe she's like maybe in her 60s now. So very interesting things. Yeah, so when I do the follow-up for the monatomics and Andara video that I did, I'll probably do a deeper dive with some of the stuff that I have been hearing from her and some of the things that I've been also experiencing personally. But yeah, I will see what comes through for the Patreon overflow. Okay. I wanted to come in with the so the other day I woke up, and I guess you can say it was like I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you know, that expression. I was talking to a friend, and she was also having a day like that, and I noticed like a lot of people around me were having this experience. So I was going to record that day actually, and I did not. I just really needed to like relax and reground and process whatever was happening. You know, I've been getting into the body, doing some stretches, and that's been really helping. So yeah, if anyone here has also been having sort of like maybe mood swings, or just feeling like some of this heaviness that's coming through, I think that's why a lot of the like origamic message in the beginning came in, of like really tuning into some sort of practice that can assist with this. And it can be as simple, if you're not familiar with like that thought just flew out of my head, so maybe that was not meant to be said, at least at this moment. But it's funny because when I was walking yesterday, I was listening to, I was having periods of silence, and then I was listening to a few different things, and I was listening to actually some of the Maia Nartoomid Thoth material, and I was trying to like, you know, just go deeper with receiving more information and knowledge, etc. And I just kept hearing in my head like sing, sing, sing. Sometimes I'll hear like very like fairy elemental energy, and it always comes through like that for me. So maybe someone here has also been tapping into that. And I was like, okay, you know what? And I heard it a couple times, and I was outside, and it was nighttime. There was really no one around me. And I just I heard a song in my head. Actually, I haven't heard a song in years. It was Madonna, Something's Coming Over Me. I don't know where that song came from, but it just like flew into my head. So I put it on, and I was just singing by myself, and I just like felt so much lighter, and it was just so fun. And yeah, so it's like something about moments like this to like drop in for a second, and just like whatever pops in, if it's of course only if it's like filter through anything that doesn't make you feel good. And then like it's like I'm being shown something will come in that might seem overly simplistic, but like going back to basics and simplicity can be extremely helpful right now. If you're already doing this, it's just like a confirmation. So the Schumann resonance that's been coming through, and the idea of working with the womb has also been coming up a lot. And you know, like when a mother is carrying a baby, there's like the heartbeat that we come through, right? And then the Schumann resonance is supposed to mimic like the heartbeat of the earth. So there's something about also like coming down to almost like fetal position, like very mothery mother archetypes and working with, like, if you want to call it the divine mother or the mother arc. The 13th ray, the aqua lean sun codes, the aquamarine. I'm just kind of bringing through different things I'm hearing to encode, and then it might awaken something different within each of you or confirm something you're already doing. But yeah, so there's something about that, like, really coming into like self-soothing type of experiences, serenity, tranquil, peace, like these type of vibes. Doves, you could be seeing doves. As a reminder of this, again, of that purification and coming back to the pulse of the mother, the gentle heart, and the crystalline heart. It's 12:00 on my clock right now. So yeah, I just heard, like, when the clock strikes noon. Oh, there's something about, like, fairy tales. You know how, like, at midnight or noon, like, there's always, like, high noon. There's something about working with that energy as well. Okay. Yeah. And this is all in that process of, like, closing out a timeline or calling back a soul fragment, stepping more into wholeness, awakening dormant sleeping consciousness, which I believe I did a transmission, Awakening Sleeping DNA. So there could be messages in there for you. Oh, okay. So the Mandela effect could be coming up for someone. I had a few weeks ago, I couldn't remember, I was saying Powder Puff Girls or Powerpuff Girls. I don't even know why they were coming up, because I don't think I was, like, a big fan of them as a kid, but like, it's not like I watched it a lot, but there was something about that. And I was like, shit, is it power or powder? And then I was, like, confusing myself, and I looked it up, and it's a Mandela effect thing. Anyway, so that could be coming up for someone. And I feel like these Mandela effect things come up, like, a lot when the collective is switching timelines or merging timelines, etc. So that felt pretty synchronistic. Yeah, butterflies and unicorn, the white wolf, and white tigers seem to be coming through very strongly as well. Again, that, like, high priestess purification energy, hidden esoteric wisdom, knowledge, secrets. I wrote down, I kept seeing references to a gynecologist. So I don't know if someone here is, maybe just as confirmation, like, maybe you switched gynos, maybe you just had an appointment or you made one, but there's something referencing the gynecologist. I just saw sneakers, you know, when, like, I don't know, when I grew up, and I would always, like, there were, like, people that would throw sneakers together and tie it up on a wire, like on the street wires. I'm not sure why I'm seeing that, but I don't know, maybe someone saw that recently, or maybe you were just talking about that. That's funny. I forgot about that. I haven't seen that in a while. Yeah, but there's something about sneakers as well. Maybe someone just got new sneakers, or maybe someone here really likes to wear white sneakers. I don't know why I was seeing that. Okay, so I also had an aspect of, if you want to say, my right eye just twitched when I said this. I'm trying to think of how I want to bring this through. There was a period of time where I would say that the last year or so, I don't know why, but when I would be, like, sitting in a bathroom or just, like, sitting in front of a wall, I would just, like, imagine it, like, blowing up. I know that's however it sounds, but I don't know why. I would just have that, or, like, it blowing open. And I would always, like, giggle at myself, like, why am I doing this? But whatever, that's what I was doing. And not in, like, an angry way or anything like this. Usually, if I, like, maybe felt, like, a surge of, like, collective anger pulsing through, or some sort of anger, maybe it was just, like, a way to channel it into, like, imagination of, like, you know, shattering the glass ceiling, blowing up walls. So it was kind of both, but sometimes it was really just, like, coming through as, like, I don't know, just happening. Yeah. Although I have been seeing Mars in the sky so much lately. Maybe you have too. So the archetype of Mars, the god of war, maybe looking at where Mars is in your chart. If you're not familiar, that could be helpful. But yeah, there's something about Mars and channeling anger in a constructive way. Anyway, so I had this dream the other night, and there were a few people in this like restaurant type of space, and I knew one of them, and then there was a girl who I didn't know, and the girl was like my generation, a millennial, and the guy is actually my friend, or my friend's fiance, but and he was telling her something about like generations, and he was like, yeah, man, like your generation, like you guys just don't get it. And then like she was, I don't know, there was like a generational like discussion. I just heard the word imprint. But yeah, so I don't know, maybe someone here has been talking about that. It's not something that I talk about often, but I do know some people who talk about this a lot, so it could be coming up. But anyway, and he was a generation younger. I can never remember what's under millennial, but one of those. Z maybe? Gen Z? I think. Anyway, so chromosomes can be relevant as well. Maybe someone's looking into chromosomes, but so I may have talked about this dream in my Patreon overflow the other day. I honestly am not sure. But anyway, so as this is coming through, I'm like watching this conversation. I was like guided to go somewhere else in the dream. And all of a sudden I like went into this, it was like I slipped into a different dimension. Like the girl who was there was talking about some of this dimension stuff, but it was like she was like stuck in this room. I don't know, it was really weird. And she like couldn't get out of it. And she was just kind of like talking. And like it kind of sounded like she didn't really know what she was talking about. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I went into this other space, and it was like the walls just started like blowing up, like boom, 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 like blow, blow, blow. And I was like, whoa. And I was just kind of like standing there and like almost like harnessing it in a way of just like letting it happen, but like also connecting with it. And then there was like this, it almost looked like a bowling pin, but it was a being, and it was very bright green. As I said that, the sun just got like way brighter. Yeah, it almost looked like a bowling pin. And it was like talking to me, and I wanted to know like, what are you? Where are you from? But we didn't get to that point. And I honestly don't remember what it was saying, but it was like working with me and channeling this, like, of course we can look at it metaphorically of like, walls being any sort of like hindrances or, just like breaking next levels, ready for the next thing. But there is something also about like harnessing energy and coming into that next phase of whatever your spiritual evolution of gifts can be, is what I was kind of getting. If anyone else is connected with a being like that, let me know. It sort of reminded me of, if you saw the Flintstones, like, I've connected with beings like that. It's not the same before in astral or dream time, but it had the same sort of like maybe consciousness, but like a different form. Yeah. Okay, let's see what else. There was also like a yellow scooter in that dream, so that could be relevant for someone. And I did make a deck for my friend, and I remember she had her scooter, like, I think it was stolen, and when I made cards for her, one of the things that channeled through was like, basically like the return of the scooter, like whatever was lost is coming back in a new form, even if it's not exactly a scooter, it was like symbolic. So that's also what I'm getting now, like something that maybe was lost or like taken away, that felt like it was taken away from you. Everything karmically will rebalance, they say, in like the laws of the universe. So it's like something's coming back to you in a new form, which is beautiful. I just heard topaz, so maybe there's a spiritual meaning of topaz that could be helpful. can be associated with love, good fortune, and healing. All right, well, I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear from you if you have anything to say. And I will be doing an extended overflow on Patreon. I'm not exactly sure what will come through, but yeah, feel free to join me there. Okay, thank you.